What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave, and welcome back to the YouTube employee who's going to have to probably manually review this video only to tell me that it's still not suitable for advertisers and pretty much everyone else in the recommended system with YouTube, because we will be talking about the coronavirus today and some of the effects that it's having on the gaming landscape, specifically on E3. Because there might not be an E3 this year, and that's starting to really open up now as we're seeing things unfold in LA and California. We'll go over that today. Also, Stadia made a big move, but I think it might be too late. However, they did pull away a pretty large studio head from Sony that we'll be going over that today. As always, guys, if you enjoy these videos, hit that like button. It really helps out, especially today, as YouTube is probably going to not be recommending this video that much if we talk about the coronavirus. So hit the like button to help out and share it if you can. And if you're brand new here, hit the red subscribe button down below as we head towards 400,000 subscribers. And we're going to start today with Masahiro Sakurai. He has a column in Famitsu where we'll talk about kind of day-to-day life and different things that he's doing or experiencing as he's working on Smash Brothers. Well, he talked a bit about how he passed out when he was at the gym, and that caught a lot of us off guard because, of course, Sakurai, we know, works super hard on Smash, right? To the point where he looks tired a lot when we see him, right? And even talks about it, makes jokes about it. But the one thing I will give Sakurai is he always looks young. Like he always looks like he's getting younger and younger every time we see him. Well, he actually talked about how when he was at the gym, and this is according to Sakurai, he's on a low-carb, meat-based diet, and that the dehydration from taking a bath overlapped with tiredness from the diet, which caused him to pass out. And that is concerning, obviously, but I mean, I guess that kind of explains why he's very thin and he looks like he's in very good shape, because he keeps his health in mind. But the amount of work he's putting into Smash, I say, keep in shape and all of that, but maybe a balanced diet and kind of relax some. He is kind of towards the finish line of Smash, right, with the DLC coming up being the end of it, and I don't know where you go from here. So after that, maybe he'll get to take a nice long vacation and just kind of spend some time away from games and do what he wants, and then maybe he comes back a bit later and works on the next Kid Icarus, maybe? Also, if you're someone who has wanted another release of Castlevania Symphony of the Night for a portable system, like, I don't know, the Switch maybe, well, Konami has you covered, because they released it on phones. I'm not kidding. iOS and Android devices got Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It is $2.99. You can buy it now and play it. This pretty much coincides with the release of the show on Netflix, which actually comes out today. It's very exciting. Third season, looking forward to it. But it was strange to see it drop on mobile devices out of nowhere. I didn't see anything really leading up to it. I just dropped. Oh, Symphony of the Night. Outstanding Castlevania game. Now on your cell phone. I don't think that's going to go over great with touchscreen controls, although I guess you could hook up a controller, but then it's a whole thing with your phone and a controller and kind of defeats the idea of pick up and play gameplay with your phone. People are already asking, I know, about a Switch port of this game since we've had the Castlevania collection come over. I don't know what the situation is with Konami and Symphony of the Night, because it is on the Xbox 360, which is backwards compatible for the Xbox One. So at this time, I guess it's on the Xbox One, it's on the PlayStation 4, but not on the Switch. Maybe that's the next place they'll put it, but for now, if you want a portable Castlevania, I guess you can go back to the PSP, maybe the Vita. I'll have to double check that. But hey, it's on your smartphones right now. It's just $3. Oh, and for Star Wars fans, there's something you want to keep an eye on because it leaked on the PlayStation Network. It's at least spotted there, and that's Star Wars Project Maverick. We're not really sure what this is. It popped up. We have kind of the title art there, and that's about it right now. Jason Schreier mentioned that this is kind of a smaller project for Star Wars, and I almost wonder if this is like a VR project, because we haven't really heard much about this at all, no real build up to it, nothing like that. It's just kind of popped up on the PlayStation Store, which makes me believe that maybe it's just going to be dropped on the PlayStation Network immediately. Oh, Project Maverick, this is what it is. It's ready to go. You can pick it up, or maybe it'll be a very quick release, it's out 3 days from now or next week. I'm wondering if, because it's a smaller project, if it is leaning towards VR, but we'll see. Just keep an eye out for Project Maverick if you're a Star Wars fan. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with E3. Now, this was tweeted out by games industry. You can see it here. It says, update with Los Angeles having declared a state of emergency. ESA's E3 team is actively assessing the coronavirus situation. So, what we are seeing right now, California has also declared a state of emergency. This was during the afternoon yesterday in kind of this battle against the coronavirus and trying to contain it as it has started to spread throughout California at this time. I believe they also reported a death there in California as well related to the coronavirus. So it is becoming a serious concern there. And we're 3 months out from E3, but there are a lot of things that are coming into play right now. And I'm not even kidding when I say, if E3 is canceled and companies are forced to have to figure out their own method to get information out there, they will probably reflect on that and realize that they had a similar effect to when they went to E3 and spent $5-10 million to have a presence there. This is bad for E3 in general. If they have to cancel, I don't know if they will have much value after that. And that's why I do think the ESA is going to go kicking and screaming when it comes to E3. It's not going to be like GDC ended up canceling. They've postponed it, apparently. We'll see if that actually happens or they just skip the year and then, okay, we'll see you guys next year. The GDC had to do it. A lot of other gatherings, conventions, trade shows have started to do it already as well. E3, if we get to E3 in 3 months and the coronavirus is still out there, it's still being assessed and worked on, and they're still coming up with ways to contain it, I don't know if E3 will happen, and that is a worst case scenario by far for the ESA. Now, the interesting thing with E3 is I believe their contract we're in LA at the convention center there. It only has another year or two on it. So they've even been thinking about moving E3. And I almost wondered if they would look into doing that this year, but we're 3 months out. There's a lot of stuff that has to go into this. And we're looking at it as, okay, 3 months from now is when E3 takes place. Well, that's the cutoff date. No, not necessarily, because it takes months and months of planning for all the stuff that you see to E3 to happen. Like, they would have to make the decision in May, like 2 months from now, maybe even sooner than that. So it could even be like at the end of April, they got to make a decision. And do we think this whole coronavirus situation will be wrapped up and taken care of by April or by early May? That's what everyone's trying to figure out right now. And a lot of people are asking questions. What happens if there is no E3? What happens if all the companies have to do their own little Nintendo Direct state of play inside Xbox? And they realize, we just saved a lot of money this year, and the sales are just about the same as at E3. And we can just email people and talk to them or do teleconference, talk to people about projects. Did we all have to go to LA? But this could end up being a massive shift in the gaming landscape if there's no E3. And we're kind of wondering, as it is now, questioning its relevancy, if it's needed with the online presence of these companies, the rise of social media to get that message out there. Do we need E3 as much? Because I really don't think we do. And they've been trying to shift it into something else anyway by allowing a set number of fans in to kind of tour and view the floor and play games and all of that. It has changed from what it was before. And then it comes back to, well, even if the ESA doesn't want to cancel E3, well, the different publishers and developers could just not show up. They've done that. GDC ended up being canceled because everyone decided not to go, except for Nintendo. Nintendo never canceled. That was interesting. But like once everyone said, Microsoft, Amazon, Sony, Facebook, everyone started dropping out and it was just going to be kind of a ghost town there. They said, okay, we'll postpone it. What happens if a bunch of publishers and developers start pulling out from the most expensive trade show of the year, E3? They'll have to postpone it or cancel it or do something, but it's the most lucrative thing for the ESA right now, turning down offers of even selling the brand E3 and the convention to, I believe, the owners of PAX. So it's going to be interesting to follow here, and I'll keep you guys up to date. But yeah, there is a chance right now with all the stuff going on and the ESA even assessing the situation, there might not be an E3 the way we know it, because they can't even themselves stream it. They want to sell the floor space and the presence to these companies for $5-10 million a piece. Next up, let's talk about the PlayStation 2. It officially turned 20 years old yesterday. That is March 4th. That was in Japan, it launched March 4th. Now in the US, for I remember, it launched in October leading into that holiday 2000. And this was an amazing console, especially if you look back on its sales. It's something I don't think will ever be replicated, right? You look at the PS2, 158 million units sold. What other console is going to sell that? Because even Sony, who keeps selling their systems very, very well, everything but the PS3 has hit at least 100 million units, has not been able to replicate that themselves. The Wii, which sold like crazy, also not able to come anywhere near it. The only thing that came near it was the DS, and that's the little handheld system. It's not even a home console. It was a big deal at the time because it was a DVD player, and to be honest, a lot of us convinced them, or our parents, that we needed it because it was a DVD player, and DVDs were becoming this big, new, cool thing after VHS tapes, and a lot of parents said, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, we do need a DVD player. You said the PS2's pretty good. All right, we'll go pick it out. And then we go to the store to rent movies, and we walk up with a PS2 game, and then they figure it out, but it's too late because we have the PS2. It was just a really cool system at the time, massive game library, some awesome stuff on there, and I think most of us have a lot of memories around the PS2, so let me know specifically what your first game was, as Sony asked, right? Any fun memories you have from that system. I remember my first game was Orphan on the PS2. That was a launch title in the US. I remember a friend got the PS2 over that holiday, and then I went over there and he had Orphan and something else. It might have been like a Madden or something, but I remember popping in Orphan and I was blown away. It's not a good game, definitely not, but if you consider we were going from the PS1 to the PS2, even those launch titles were nuts, right? It was crazy. So yeah, first game for me was Orphan, and I remember also playing The Bouncer, and that one blew me away too later on when it came out a few months after its release. But yeah, let me know, guys, what you thought about the PS2 when it came out in your first game. Next up, let's talk about Google Stadia. They made a large move. I will give them credit here. They have formed another studio. Remember, they originally had a studio that they had formed, and they didn't really say what game they would be developing. Then they also bought a smaller studio, Typhoon, I believe, and now they are creating another studio. So they would have 3 studios that would be developing specifically games for Google Stadia. And this is a big move because it's pretty clear they're looking for like a blockbuster game out of this studio. Here's the headline that they ran. This is on their own blog. Our new Stadia Games and Entertainment Studio in Play Vista. And they are not messing around because they went ahead and hired, pretty much away from Sony, their head of Santa Monica Studio, and that is Shannon Studstill. Now, Sony's gonna be replacing her or filling the position with Yumi Yang, someone who's been with Sony for 19 years, as they describe. So I do believe that Santa Monica will be fine with Sony. If you remember, these two, the two people were actually in that God of War documentary that was a fantastic documentary overall. But Stadia making this kind of move is, I think, a little late. Like, this is something they should have done 2 years ago, a year and a half before Stadia was ready to go. Like, when Project Stream was being shown and talked about, they should have made this studio and made this hire 6 months even before that. Basically, when God of War wrapped, they should have been looking around to grab Studstill and brought her in for this, but they didn't. They waited this long. They formed the studio. When is a big game coming out of there? 3 years from now? People are wondering if Stadia will be around in 3 years. Otherwise, are they going to try to rush a game to market 2 years from now? Because then the quality could suffer pretty big from that. That's the question here. Will the studio have enough time to create a game that can help push Stadia along as xCloud continues to rack up exclusive, right, as a streaming service with all of the different Microsoft first-party games you can't find on any other streaming service that Amazon will be bringing, GeForce Now will be bringing, and then we see Stadia, I guess, trying to do something. But I am curious what the former head of Sony Santa Monica will do with Google, and the offer must have been pretty big, or at least the opportunity to create something really, really cool. So I'm going to look forward to what they come up with, but I'm still concerned about Google giving them enough time to get something amazing done. And in our last bit of news, something to watch for today. AMD is going to be holding their financial analyst day today, And a lot of people are expecting them to showcase, announce, show off some sort of new GPU or GPUs around their RDNA 2, something that's already been announced by Microsoft to be using in the Xbox Series X, and something we assume Sony is going to be using in the PlayStation 5, although we are still waiting to hear more about that system from Sony, as they've been pretty quiet to start the year when we have their system that we're supposed to be buying in, I don't know, 7-8 months from now. We'll see about all of that, but we could possibly see something really big from AMD, and there have even been rumors that Microsoft could possibly be there to showcase an Xbox Series game or two with some of the new features from the RDNA 2 video cards. It's exciting stuff nonetheless. I think AMD is going to show up with something to show off. How interesting or how related to the next generation consoles remains to be seen. Just keep your eyes open for some AMD news today that could tell us a little bit more about a Series X game or even a PlayStation 5 game. And we'll finish up with a comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This one's from J-Dog saying, "Can't wait for that direct that's seemingly never coming." Another week, right? Another week without a direct. That seems to be the running narrative right now. It's every time it's like maybe next week, maybe next week. It's now been officially, by the way, yesterday, 6 months since the last Nintendo Direct. It's been half a year. And I can see it is getting to a lot of people right now, because we thought it would have been, maybe like midway through February after we went through January, and nothing, nothing. I still feel like there's gonna be one before Animal Crossing, but that just leaves like 2 more weeks, so we'll see. But after Animal Crossing, I don't know if we've ever had a time where Nintendo didn't have any game for their current platform dated, but that could happen after the 20th. And ladies and gentlemen, let's go do it here for Newswave. Enjoyed this video, guys. Hit the like button, it really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it is E3 and the current concerns around it being possibly canceled due to the effects of the coronavirus, specifically in California around LA, declaring a state of emergency. What do you think about that? And if it is canceled for this year, do you think that these companies will see little value in returning after they realize that they can do a lot of that stuff themselves without having to spend millions and millions of dollars? Also, the PS2, hit me with some memories down in the comments what your first game was, or even when you picked the console up. And then also, what about Stadia and this new studio that is formed? Is it too late, or can they make that comeback with some big time talent? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.